From Tobias Harris, Miles Bridges, and DeJounte Murray being on various teams' radars to the Warriors possibly turning their season around by making the right trades, these are NBA trades that will change everything. With the trade deadline around the corner, teams are dying to make their teams better. And dudes like Harris, Bridges, and Murray are at the center of these discussions. Even though the Philadelphia 76ers have been doing great in the 2024 season, and Tobias himself has been a great player for them, Philly reportedly wants to use him as the main piece in a trade package. And according to Matt Moore of Action Network, the Sacramento Kings are rumored to be the potential landing spot for the small forward. Moore also said that besides the Kings, even the Indiana Pacers are eager to improve their small forward situation. So we could possibly see a 3-team deal as well.
The Sacramento Kings are 25th in the league in defensive rating. On the road, they are, last time I checked this, they were 9th, and they're currently 10th. They're tied for 10th. Guess who's actually better on the road defensively at the 9th best mark in the NBA? The Indiana Pacers.
Wow, that's impressive.
The trade might come as a surprise to some because Tobias has been consistently putting up great numbers for Philly, while his shooting percentages have been terrific as well. But that also means he has terrific trade value. We all know that Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey are the two key pieces for Philly, so they can afford to get rid of Harris. And since he's got amazing stats, it'll be easy for Philly to get some great players or assets in return for him. Then we have Miles Bridges, who many NBA teams are after, including the Dallas Mavericks, Detroit Pistons, and once again the Kings. According to Matt Moore, Bridges is currently 25 and playing some terrific basketball for the Hornets, as he's averaging 21 and 7 on good efficiency. Teams are always dying to get their hands on fantastic two-way wings like Bridges, so it's no surprise that he's a popular trade target. But of course, trading for him could lead to a huge PR hit because of his off-court issues. Another man whose name has popped up in trade discussions is DeJounte Murray, and the main team that's after him is none other than the LA Lakers. One of the main issues for the Lakers has been a lack of offensive and defensive firepower at the guard position, as D'Angelo Russell hasn't been nearly as good as the franchise thought. Murray, on the other hand, can solve both of those problems for the Lakers. He's averaging 21, 5, and 5 on great efficiency. And above all, he's got that clutch gene in him. In fact, as soon as the trade rumors about him started to gain traction, he went out there and dropped 2 game winners in a row. So he could be of huge help to LeBron and Anthony Davis. Plus, as I said, he can actually play defense. So unlike D'Lo, Murray can defend opposing guards. Murray's signed to Clutch Sports and his agent is Rich Paul, much like James and AD, so the likelihood of the trade happening is pretty high. If it does happen, there's no doubt in my mind that the Lakers will automatically become much better. And rather than barely being a play-in team, they can easily make it to the playoffs. But that's not all for the Lakers, because it's also being reported that they want their hands on a star guard such as Trae Young or Donovan Mitchell. Now, while Ice Trae and D-Mitch would undoubtedly give the Lakers much more offensive firepower, it doesn't make too much sense for the franchise to trade for either of them. After all, they're both ball-dominant players who can't play defense as well as Murray can. So if there's anyone the Lakers should go for, it's him. But the Lakers aren't the only team in the West that is severely underperforming. Even the Golden State Warriors have had a terrible season so far, and all signs point to the franchise making some trades before the deadline. Or at least Dubs fans are hoping they make some moves before it's too late, because right now things are looking terrible in the Bay Area. After a terrific start to the season, Golden State's somehow become even worse than they were in the 2023 season. Golden State has somehow gotten worse than they were in the 2023 season after having a fantastic start to the season. And the worst is that even if they win their next few games, it won't really be enough to put them any higher in the standings. On top of that, at least 12 of those 22 losses were easily winnable games that the Dubs threw away by making stupid decisions and just playing like shells of themselves. Things have gotten so bad that Golden State fans booed the hell out of the Warriors after their blowout loss to the Pelicans earlier in January 2024. It's been a tragic downfall, and they have no one to blame but themselves. Even though Steph Curry's been good for the most part in the 2024 season, he's been super inconsistent, and sometimes it feels like he isn't even playing in the game. Then there's Andrew Wiggins, who's turned into an absolute scrub that can barely get a bucket to drop, whether it's a 3, midi, or even a layup, while his defense and rebounding aren't as good as they once were. And how can I forget how washed Klay Thompson has become? All he does is chuck threes every game, doing more harm than good for the Dubs. What's more, his defense has also deteriorated, so he pretty much brings nothing to the table. With all three of their offensive weapons underperforming like this, it's not surprising that the Warriors keep catching L's. Then, of course, we have Draymond Green, who's been treating the NBA like the UFC, which only pissed off Warriors fans some more as he gave the entire franchise a terrible rep. Chris Paul's been solid so far, but trading for an old player like him was the last thing the Warriors should have done. Clearly, the Dubs would benefit from making some big moves before the trade deadline. So who should they go after? The Warriors have had one glaring issue for years, and it's beyond surprising that it still hasn't been fixed. You guessed it, I'm talking about the lack of size on their team. Golden State hasn't had a legitimate big man on the squad in years, and with each passing year, the absence of a true center's hurting them more and more. With Draymond being nothing more than a violent vet, they basically have no rebounding or defense. So what they really need is a 6'11" or 7-foot beast who can score inside the paint, grab tons of boards, and play good defense. Jackson Davis has a lot of potential, but he's not experienced enough to be a viable option for the Warriors deep into the season. Jarrett Allen or Jacob Poeltl could be the perfect big men to target, so getting either of them on the roster would make a huge difference for the Dubs. If not them, then even Miles Turner or Nick Claxton are players they could try to go after. That said, unfortunately for the Warriors, their problems don't end there. They need someone other than Curry who can consistently put up 20-plus points on good efficiency. Two names immediately come to mind: Mikal Bridges and DeJounte Murray. They're both phenomenal players who can do a little bit of everything. So if the Dubs want to be better, then they better consider making a good offer for either player. Now that begs the question, who should Golden State trade in order to upgrade their roster? Well, for starters, they have to trade Klay Thompson. I know he's a big part of the Warriors dynasty, but he's way too washed now for him to be of any help to the team. Besides him, they should trade Wiggins as well, because he went from being an all-star to a bench player who only has some good moments here and there. The Warriors also have Jonathan Kuminga, who's got a really high trade value, so even though losing him would hurt, he can increase their chances of really improving the squad. As for Draymond, the Warriors should look to move him if and when they trade for a center. Ideally, the Warriors should aim to trade for multiple players in order to revamp their squad, or else it'll be an even worse year than 2023. At the same time, there are some who can't fathom getting rid of names like Klay and Dre. So do the Warriors really need to make such drastic changes? Well, I'd say yes, because the current roster's doomed for failure. If they go on without making their squad any better, then they'll just keep getting booed by their own fans and make it to the play-in at best. By getting rid of the players holding them back, the Dubs can finally try to turn things around for the better and go on a crazy win streak to lock their spot in the playoffs. Steph's not getting any younger, so it's now or never for the Warriors front office. Either they can let things go on as they currently are and waste a year of Curry's career, or they can try and make the most of one of his final years in the league. So, from the Warriors possibly turning their season around by making the right trades to Tobias Harris, Miles Bridges, and DeJounte Murray being on various teams' radars, these are some NBA trades that will change everything.